Hello, good afternoon, and welcome. I'm delighted to be co-hosting this very important Risk in Focus webinar with our friends from the Italian Institute, IAA Italia. Thank you for that. I am Rachel Barlow. I am the CEO of the European Confederation of Institutes of Internal Audit. We have 35 national institutes and 55,000 members. So first, a word about risk in focus and about the methodology. There's a lot of research that goes on behind these presentations and these webinars. In the first half of 2024, a quantitative survey was distributed among chief audit executives by 14 European institutes of internal auditors spanning 15 countries. The key themes in the report were determined by a range of chief audit executives, non-executive directors, academics, and industry experts to be able to cover the full gamut of sectors. This led to 5 roundtable events, 10 in-depth interviews, and 879 responses were received. So to today's important topic, auditing, what happens next? Artificial intelligence, new tech, and the controls that count. Lot of information and issues to address here. Across Europe, digital disruption, including artificial intelligence, has jumped to the top 3 risks for 2026, rising from 4th to 3rd place, while cybersecurity remains at number 1. Chief audit executives expect digital disruption to accelerate. 58% say it will be a top 5 audit focus within 3 years. So how are we coping? Are we staying ahead of the curve? We will translate today the risk in focus insights into practical tools, governance patterns, a lightweight AI use case inventory, and a starter assurance map, so that audit functions can move from awareness to assurable, repeatable oversight in 2026. So now a quick word about how you can ask questions and also the certificates. You are invited to put your questions through the chat platform of this Zoom, and we will endeavor to answer the questions during the panel session itself. However, if that's not possible, we will do so through other social media platform, usually LinkedIn, so that everybody can have access to that information as well. And concerning the certificates, these certificates will be issued by your respective national institutes. We will gather the names and the contact details of all of the participants that will be sent respectively to the national institutes so that you can be awarded your certificate by that means. So now I am going to introduce our facilitator, Daniele Del Monaco. So Daniele is a professional with over 25 years of experience in internal audit, risk management, and corporate governance. And this has been gained from a variety of contexts and sectors, whether in multinational organizations or in Italy. After more than 15 years spent at EY, he joined the Angelini Group, where he is currently leading the internal audit function with group-level responsibilities for internal control monitoring, regulatory compliance, and the improvement of governance, risk management systems, and operational processes. Daniele is an internal member of the supervisory bodies of the group's main companies and has proven expertise in defining and implementing internal control systems. Fluent in English and Spanish, Daniele collaborates with the Italian Accounting Standards Body, OIC, and is an active member of the Italian Association of Internal Auditors on such topics as artificial intelligence and ESG. Can I invite you, Daniele, to join us, please, in the webinar? Thank you, Daniele. Great to see you. I'm going to hand over to you to lead the facilitation and introduce your speakers.
Thank you very much, Rachel, for the introduction. So let's enter in Risk in Focus 2026 and see what are the main challenges that chief audit executives have identified. Let's say that we are living in a world where the organizations are currently operating in a context of rapid changes, which increase threats and uncertainty and influence the current risk landscape. Today's main challenges that organizations must face and address are represented by geopolitical tension, the fast-growing of artificial intelligence, changes to global market, cyber threats, and skill shortages linked to technological innovation. In addition, the US tariffs are contributing to the business growth stalling for their impact on world economy. In this context, identifying the most significant risks that lie on the horizon and understanding the way they are evolving, it is a fundamental requirement for the organization to make fast and purposeful decisions for a sustainable growth. The chief audit executives are required to provide a greater level of advisory services, supporting the organization to reinforce the risk assessment and mitigation processes, and the management to get a better understanding of the risk landscape. So if we move to the next slide and we look at the top risk identified by chief audit executive, we can see that cybersecurity and data security remains the undisputed #1 risk. Cyber attacks are constantly growing sophistication, and they are considered constantly emerging risk. Human capital, talent management, and retention is the second largest threat, derived from a deep concern within companies about having people with the right skill in the era of artificial intelligence. The core issues revolve around the fear of the skilling, where technology is substantially replacing the human activities, and the critical talent shortages in key technological areas. The digital disruption, new technology, and artificial intelligence is the risk that climbed from the fourth to the third place, and its growth is almost due to the rapid and sometimes uncontrolled adoption of artificial intelligence. But we will have the chance to go later deeper on this subject. Macroeconomic and geopolitical uncertainty is the fourth ranked risk, and it involves the business impact of global events like trade wars, tariffs, sanctions, and political instability, which create a situation of uncertainty for the organization and complicate their strategic plans, can have important impact on the supply chain, and can dramatically alter market conditions with little warning. The biggest fall in the ranking relate to climate change, biodiversity, and environmental sustainability, which dropped from the 8th to the 10th place in the risk ranking. And this was due to the, let's say, the uncertainty in Europe and the global attitude toward this subject. In the next chart, Erika, please, we will see how this risk move in between 25 and 26. But if we look ahead for the next 3 years and we move to the next chart, we will see that with respect to the 2026 landscape, there are 3 significant shifts standing out. The first one is the rise of technology. So digital disruption, new technology, and artificial intelligence are projected to climb from the third to become the second business risk after cybersecurity. This highlights the accelerating impact of technologies, particularly the artificial intelligence, and it moves from an emerging issue to a central operation challenge for all the organization. The second shift is the enduring people problem. So while technology climbs, human capital remain at the top 3 concern, underscoring the persistent and difficult challenge of managing, training, and retaining talent in a business environment that has been constantly transformed by technology. The last shift relates to climate change that is now again projected to re-enter in the top 5 highlighting a renewed focus on environmental sustainability as a core business challenge. Moving on to the next slides. Here we can see the how the digital disruption, what is the trend of digital disruption through the years. In terms of, and we see under three different elements. In terms of top 5 risks faced by the organization, in terms of time spent by the internal audit department, and in terms of being a top risk in the next 3 years. If we focus on the middle line, which is the one related of the top 5 risks faced by the organization, we see that digital disruption has a peak in between 2020 and 2021, with more than 50% of the chief audit executive that included in the top 5 risks. And this was mainly due to the pandemic, which required the organization to accelerate the achievement of their digital goal during the mass lockdown. And we have a second row in between 25 and 26, mostly due to the large adoption of artificial intelligence, which experienced rapid integration into the service offered by the technology companies. If we look at the line at the bottom, which represent the time spent by the internal audit department in auditing this risk, we see again a peak in 2021, which related to the digitalization process during the pandemic period. And again, in 25 and 26, as a consequence of the increase of the use of the artificial intelligence in many processes of the organization. What has to be noted in both cases is that the effort spent for auditing such risk is well below the risk ranking, but is expected to increase the effort in the upcoming year due to the relevant impact of the new technologies. If we move to the next slide, and the next one again, sorry. Okay. What are the key findings related to the digital disruption which came out in Risk in Focus? To summarize, digital disruption, new technologies, and artificial intelligence continue to rise. It moved from 4th to 3rd ranking in 2026, and is expected to become the second risk ranked after cybersecurity in the next 3 years. This incredible fast development, the incredible fast development of AI is the main reason of this, the growth of this category. So, as the organization race to integrate AI, they have to face 3 fundamental changes. The first one is the vendor lock-in. The organization risks becoming overly reliant on a single technology provider, especially since the major artificial intelligence platforms are based in the United States. This overdependence could expose the organization to geopolitical tension and a lack of competitive options. The second challenge is the need to balance speed and safety. So there's a constant struggle to innovate quickly, but at the same time to ensure that the new tools, in particular the artificial intelligence, are used securely. And one of the major concerns for the organization is preventing the controlled adoption of these tools by the employees. The last fundamental challenge, but I would say the last but not least, is the strategic alignment. The key challenge is ensuring that the decision and the results produced by the artificial intelligence system support the organization's main goals. So It's not enough for the artificial intelligence to be powerful, but it must be aligned with the company's core strategy. So if we just, what are the main takeaways from this analysis? I would say that they can be distilled in three core principles. The first one is that the technology is the new epicenter. Cybersecurity and artificial intelligence are not anymore specialized IT issues, but they are now at the very center of the business strategy and survival of an organization. So a deep understanding of these technological forces is becoming essential for a sustainable growth by the organization. The second core principle is that the risks are interconnected. I would say that no challenge exists in a vacuum. So the ability to see this connection is a hallmark of strategic thinking. And the last core principle is that the people remain paramount. Even in the age of advanced artificial intelligence and advanced technologies, the greatest challenges opportunity are human. Thereof, the ultimate competitive advantage will not be found in the technology in itself, but in the people that are able to understand it and to use it. So now I would say let's move to the core of the webinar, and in the next time we will interview two professionals who work in the audit department of mature organization. And these two professionals will provide us with a double perspective, how the artificial intelligence can support the audit activities, and on the other side, how auditing the artificial intelligence. So let me introduce Andrea Cirillo. Andrea Cirillo is the head of audit data and advanced analytics at Intesa San Paulo. His team is a center of excellence in the application of advanced analytics and artificial intelligence to the practice of internal audit. He has over a decade of experience in statistics, data science, and audit. And Andrea specializes in the application of advanced analytics and machine learning in audit activity. He contemporarily embodies the roles of a lead data scientist and a senior audit quantitative analysis, and he also holds several certifications. So, Andrea, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of being here.
So, Andrea, let's start. Risk in Focus shows that digital disruption and artificial intelligence are rising faster than audit coverage. From your perspective, what does good data governance look like so that internal audit can actually test and rely on artificial intelligence-enabled processes?
Yes. Well, first of all, let me tell you that this is, I think, the right first question, I would say. And that's because data is the very first thing to address when you want to move to the AI era, also for the internal audit, but for the company more broadly. So in our experience, but I think is a common experience, the data is really crucial. And so you have always to start from there. You cannot just jump to the very end of the AI cool thing without having sound fundamentals of foundations of with data. And so data governance, we could say, let me say that it could be like trying to implement AI without good data is like to try to fly without wings, let's say, to use an image. And we cannot do it, of course. So from the practical point of view, this means that also for the internal audit, the journey towards AI starts from data and data governance, of course. And in our experience, a real crucial point is the independent access to data. We have been seeing that the independent access to the data is really the key to start this journey. This is not easy, so it's not for everybody something for be given for granted, let's say. But we have seen that this is really the main point, to find a way, find a process that let you access in an independent way to the data of your company. So there are different technical implementations of this principle, but this is really, really important so that you can move on then developing analytics and whatever. And then on the other side, related to the risks that the company is exposed to, of course, I think that the internal audit must advocate for a new focus, let's say a renewed focus on the data and data governance, now that all this thing of the AI and especially Gen AI is gaining traction. That's because a lot of companies are being tempted, at least this is what the surveys are showing us, a lot of companies are being tempted to apply Gen AI like some kind of magic, let's say, like with a magic wand, let's say. But this is not like that, because we have seen also, and this is also our experience, that you have to properly perform that part that is known as context engineering. That means what the AI solutions looks in the surroundings, let's say, to use always an image. And this context engineering is profoundly based on the data quality. So also this topic of the AI hallucination that is always said when we talk about AI is really a lot reduced if you properly perform this context engineering. And context engineering is really, really heavily related to the data quality, and so more broadly to the data governance. So we think that this is crucial for this new journey. So new journey, all things, I would say. So the data at the very core, at the very beginning of the journey.
Andrea, thank you very much for the exhaustive answer. Another question, as also we saw in the presentation, that the internal audit is increasingly up as a facilitator and connector with a risk and control system. Somehow the internal audit, let's say, set the rules of the game and stimulate the collaboration across the function. And based on your experience, how can the internal audit community strengthen this collective role, turning it into a true driver of integration and shared accountability?
Yeah, I would say that you talked about the internal audit community. Well, I think that the internal audit community in this regard must become a part of the AI community of the company. We have to read and see ourselves as part of this community, meaning the people that is developing AI within the company. And if there is no such a community, let's advocate for stimulate, let's say, the creation of this community. That's because this is really important to have this kind of community and also become recognized within this community as someone, as a function able to develop and apply AI to its own activities. So to have skin in the game, let's say. So develop some AI project. Why this is really relevant? Because this helps you stay relevant, let's say, and being heard. When people recognize you as part of this community and someone able to do this for yourself, you will be, let's say, in a better position also to provide assurance, provide insights, because they recognize you as someone that is not just talking about something, but he knows how to do it. And this will help you, of course, to advocate for a coordination of all the AI initiatives. You were saying before, I've just took note of this, that AI, you have not just to have an AI powerful, but you have an AI aligned with the strategy of the company. And this is really relevant because we as internal audit, we can advocate for an AI strategy. That this is not just the sum of the initiatives, it's something more. How you want to reshape, let's say, reshuffle the company with AI? How are you going to do this? You have to have a clear picture of this, you have to have a strategy. And this is not something, let's say, technical. It's something related to the business. So this is really important that we advocate as part of this community. And also, in this way, we will become, let's say, credible, let's say. And also within the community, we will help to improve the risk culture from the very within, let's say, of the company, of course, always preserving our independence. But let me stress this point of the community, because we are talking here. So why I'm so highlighting and stressing and pointing out this point of having an AI community within the company, because we are dealing here with innovation. AI, of course, is producing innovation, have to produce innovation. And innovation doesn't spread from the hierarchy. Usually, historically, if you say, innovation doesn't come from the hierarchy, but from the network. And the community is especially a special form of a network. So this is innovation. This must come from a network, and we have to be a node within this broader network, so to positively influence it and to have because of course we have to stay in the field, play within the field, of course, always with our requirement of independence and whatever, but it's important to be part, to be within, because there are great expectations, but also great risks coming from these innovation, and we have to be within this network to positive influence these new achievements.
Yeah, thank you very much. So let's say community and strategies are the key drivers for an effective use of artificial intelligence within an organization, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, perfect.
You have, as we saw during the presentation, you have an hybrid profile. You are at the same time a data scientist and the auditor, no? So I'm assuming that there are some advantages that this double, let's say double phase helps you in understanding controls, the data lineage and the model use compared to a traditional auditor. And according to that, many audit functions are struggling to upskill. So according to you, what are the technical skills that the auditors really need to acquire, and which are those that can stay with a data or artificial intelligence specialist?
Yeah. Well, let's start from my advantages compared to, let's say, traditional auditor. I would say that one of the advantages is to know both of the words, let's say, and especially related to the AI is to understand what we are talking about from a practical point of view, let's say. So know how to do it. That's what I was saying before. The audit has to know how to do it, because to have this skin in the game helps you to really understand what's going on. And AI is currently really popular. And so the risk is let's say, the AI washing, so to say. So everyone is talking about AI, even without really know the real value drivers, let's say, success drivers as well of this new technology, let's say. The great French writer Jules Verne used to say that when people talks about the weather when they do not know what to talk about. We can say, I think that nowadays people talk about AI hallucination when they do not know what to talk about. So it's important to have an understanding. And so let's move from the advantages of my, let's say, profile to what the internal auditor should know about this, should learn, of course, about this with the upskilling that we are mentioning. I think that the current evolutions of these technologies, of this field, huge. Everyone has to devote some serious time to study AI. Maybe it's unpopular, this word of study, but I think that we are urged to really study something real about AI. This is not becoming a data scientist, of course, or an AI engineer, but to really understand what it is from the basics, from data and data management that we were mentioning before, to get basic concept too of machine learning. So for instance, training, validation, performance, these kind of concepts that are a bit technical, but you need to have a basic understanding of this, also qualitative understanding of this. So to come to what is this a large language model, what it is prompting, and so on. Of course, I don't mean that everyone has to learn to code with Python, which, by the way, is really a fun experience, a fun activity. So if someone is interested, it's really pleasant, by the way. But to get some practical knowledge, getting your hands dirty, let's say. So try something, have an experimental mindset as well. So to get a relevant practical knowledge, even if only on the qualitative level of these things, because it's really relevant to understand what's going on. But there is something that is even, I think, more important for the internal audit function as a broader idea. That is the idea of having a clear model, because not everyone can become a data scientist. Not everyone is supposed to become a data scientist, like not everyone is supposed to become an IT auditor and whatever. So we have to have a clear model that provides and sets clear expectations for people. You were mentioning before, in my opinion, correctly, that people are at the very center of this evolution as well. But this means that we have to show to everyone which are the expectations for him. So, for instance, in our experience, we introduced this hub and spoke model. The hub and spoke as a center of excellence, as you were mentioning while embarrassing me with my biography. My team, the lovely other people, I call them like this, and they are the center of excellence. We are the center of excellence. And then in this team, there are the data scientists and data engineers, so we stay on the frontier. But then there are these spokes. Spokes are people with an adequate level of data literacy. So they know how to do basic analysis. They are really passionate about data. They have the right mindset, but they are not expected to become data scientists. And then there are the business auditors. So you have a model. Everyone has his own place in the model. And so everyone can progress towards the same big picture that is, in our case, this of the hub and spoke. So the clear model is even more relevant. So because you do not have to upskill everyone to the same level. Upskilling is an ambiguous word. Upskilling to what? So the clear model answer to this question. Upskilling to what? To where?
Clear. Thank you very much. Without going too technical, do you have 2 or 3 practical use cases where artificial intelligence or advanced analytics are already making the audit work faster or most risk focused that you want to share with us?
Yeah, of course we have. There are some really, let's say, I would say traditional one currently nowadays, like for instance the use of anomaly detection. This is a really relevant technique, but I think now is quite well established within the field of internal audit, especially anomaly detection for the sampling, for instance, that helps you perform and draw risk-based samples. But let me talk about something more advanced. Let me tell you about 2 examples. One is the causal inference, so the application of the causal inference, and the other one is the application of the generative AI for a population review. Let's start from the first one. The causal inference, basically, without going into details, you asked me, so I will not do it, but without going into details, causal inference is a really powerful technique that is able to measure the quantitative relationship of cause and effect between 2 factors. So why it is important? Because a lot of times we see that our ODT is implementing an action and is saying, okay, this action is successful. With causal inference, you can measure it, removing all the, let's say, all the noise, because there are other actions having effects on the same result, but you can measure how effective your ODT was with that action. And this is relevant because you have to measure this, you have to pronounce yourself, you have to evaluate this to understand the level of risk that is coming from that action as well. So we implemented this, it was really powerful, it's really powerful as a technique, and can be used every time you have to evaluate the effectiveness of the action of your ODT. That's one. The second one is also powerful. We know that the tradition of internal audit is to establish a relevant population, given an objective, audit objective, draw a relevant sample, and then manually review with the business auditor, asking a business auditor to review that sample, and then draw, let's say, an audit opinion. What we are currently doing, and this is one of the most recent innovations, is to take the population, define the prompt together with the business auditor. So the prompt ideally asks to perform the same evaluations that the business auditor would have done on the sample. Then now that you have the prompt, you apply this prompt to all the population, each and every record. Of course, the human has to review the uncertain cases where the let's say the machine is not able to draw a final conclusion, but then you can draw an audit opinion on all the population. So look into all the population, and not like the massive analysis when you look at all the population, but from a quantitative general point of view, the shape of the data. You are going here to look through each and every record, considering different attributes, and asking to the LLM to draw an evaluation on each and every record, and then you can draw the final opinion, taking into consideration all the population. So we're seeing that this is really, really powerful technique. And these are just, let's say, two things, but that shows you that we are moving to a whole new world. Let's say we are changing the game. We are moving to a new level of the game, and we are able to move at the speed of risk. That for us is really relevant. Also because the speed is increasing time by time, so it is important to stay ahead.
Perfect. Andrea, thank you very much for your contribution, and it was really appreciated, and I think we have several takeaways from it. Thank you very much. And considering now the centrality that artificial intelligence is assuming in most of the processes, probably the main challenge, the biggest challenge for the internal audit is how to audit the artificial intelligence. Daniel Pons-Lillo will help us to understand what it should be taken into consideration for an effective auditing of AI. Daniel is a manager in the internal audit and risk area at the Iberdrola, specializing in technology, cybersecurity, privacy, and artificial intelligence. He has 20 years of professional experience in assurance and advisory role, and where he started in the IT advisory division of a big firm, and then joined Iberdrola, where he focused on operational risk within global renewable business and energy network. Since 2017, Daniel oversees technology and cybersecurity risk audit at group level in Iberdrola. And Daniel holds several certification and degrees. So he's let's say, a very important player in this area. So Daniel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Daniele.
Let's say that several organizations reported the proliferation of artificial intelligence projects and the need for a central inventory or an artificial intelligence center of excellence. So when you audit the artificial intelligence enabled system, what do you look first in terms of governance and standardization?
Okay, so in my view, fragmentation and misalignment of artificial intelligence initiatives can lead to project failures, difficulties to scale up from pilots to production, cybersecurity vulnerabilities, or even regulatory non-compliance. So as an auditor, having a look to the whole picture, I will look whether the organization has established a centralized management framework. So from a top-down perspective, I will look for four main components. So first, I think that a strong governance starts with a responsible AI corporate policy approved by the board, which reflects the ethical values aligned with regulatory requirements. And it's important because this sets the tone for the organization for deployment of responsible AI. Secondly, I will check for a AI strategy, making sure it's aligned with the overall business strategy, making sure it's focused on high impact use cases that deliver real value, and also that's sponsored by top management, could be the CEO or the executive committee. Third, and very important, I will check whether it's a governance and operating model, which aspects and things that should include, like a comprehensive involvement of the key roles involved in this. So this is traditional business, IT, cyber, data protection, but also legal, compliance, human resources, with clear roles and responsibilities, clear decision-making process, with coordination, reporting, and oversight mechanisms. So that will be important. You were mentioning the existence of an AI Center of Excellence, and I see that as very positive in order to coordinate and share best practices and make sure we all work in an aligned manner. A centralized inventory is also very important in order to ensure traceability and control, and also having standard processes, documented process for risk assessments, expected controls, etc. And in terms of scalability, I will also expect some kind of standardization in the technology so we can scale up the initiatives we are delivering. So that will be the third component. The fourth one will be the organizational culture regarding AI, that I think we need to make sure that we are training and raising awareness of our employees just to make sure they understand the risk, but also the opportunities of AI. So to sum up, when auditing AI for the first time, looking at the whole picture, I will look for strong governance, I will look for a strategic alignment, a standardized model, operating model, and then a culture that supports responsible AI.
Daniel, thank you very much. And what is the governance model that your organization adopted? And in your organization, the artificial intelligence initiatives are integrated into the strategic plans? Because we spoke with Andrea, mentioned that strategy is one of the key drivers for an effective use of artificial intelligence.
Yes, it is. At Iberdrola, we have been implementing traditional AI for a long time, like more than 15 years, machine learning and so on. But with the rise of generative AI and also the new regulatory requirements, such as the AI Act, we need to evolve and formalize our governance model for AI. So our governance model is based on two international best practices standards. So we're using NIST AI risk management framework as a reference, also the ISO 42001, which is the ISO for AI management systems. And also we have included in the governance model requirements for the AI Act. So key highlights of the model is that we have established artificial intelligence center of excellence that support us for coordination, sharing best practices, etc. We have also developed a common development framework, which includes specific methodologies for doing risk assessments, the expected controls that we will need in the company, such as human oversight and accountability, making sure transparency, bias detection, explainability of the models, fairness, robustness. So that's included in the governance model. For coordination, we have set up AI committees, which include all relevant key stakeholders, including legal and compliance, And also, due to the size and complexity of the organization, we have also defined AI coordinators at country and business level in order to ensure that the governance model is applied consistently across the group. And one interesting aspect that I would like also to highlight regarding governance frameworks is that this one has been interfaced with already existing control structures for cybersecurity, for data protection, for data governance, etc. So it's not working in isolation. So it's connected to the already existing governance mechanism. You were also asking, Daniele, about the strategic integration. So Andrea mentioned it. I mentioned that in the previous question. This is key for the success of these initiatives. In our case, Iberdrola has recently updated its strategic plan for 25-28 and has included AI as a key lever for gaining efficiencies and innovation in the company. So for doing that, in practice, what we are doing is we have started a AI Boost program that is sponsored by the CEO that brings together top leadership from the business, expertise from external partners, and focuses on a high impact value that can be scalable and has an impact in the organization.
Thank you very much, Daniel. We know that, many audit teams describe, let's say, a three-layer view of artificial intelligence. Now we have the overall governance, we have the risk and control environments, and we have probably the tougher part for the audit, which is the application or what is called the black box. So how do you translate this in an audit program in practice?
In my opinion, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. So we need to consider the maturity in AI of the organization and also the criticality of its use. It's not the same when a company organization is just exploring basic models, whether other organization could be embedding AI in critical processes or in decision-making processes. And also I think that I have the view that the internal audit can play different roles. We can play an assurance role when we have a mature environment, and also we can play an advisor role when the organization is not yet mature. But definitely I agree with the approach you were presenting your question about this layer approach, governance, risk and control environment, and then the application itself for the black box. And this is more or less how we have translated it in Iberdrola. So we have established a multi-year audit program. So our journey started in 2023. So we were auditing responsible AI governance. At that moment, we had a corporate policy, but the governance wasn't mature enough. So we focused on that. 2024, we focus on generative AI and the deployment of those capabilities in the company and assuring that those capabilities were deployed in an aligned manner with the ethical values and principles that we have defined in the policy. This year, we are doing different things. We are evaluating the AI development process. We are evaluating the process for monitoring the value return of AI investments. So we are investing a lot in AI. We need to make sure we are getting back the return on investment of those initiatives. And also, interesting, linked to your question, we are auditing the specific use cases. We are auditing the black box. So for that, one of the things we have done is to establish a standardized audit program, audit methodology that we can consistently use in reviewing AI use cases within my responsibilities, but also by my team in different countries. Okay, so that has been a necessary thing to do. The methodology is mapped to standards, again, as NIST AI Risk Management Framework or the ISO 42001 and the AI Act requirements. One interesting thing we have found this year is that the businesses are achieving or getting ISO 42001 certifications. So we have started also doing like a combined assurance. We are relying and reviewing those certifications and focusing on relevant key use cases that are not being certified. Okay, so looking ahead to next year, we are planning to increase a lot of more to new audit lines in the plan. So we are thinking about auditing agentic AI. We are thinking about the reinforcement of the internal control for a specific AI risk. We are going to evaluate the impact on the use of AI in software development practices and review specific use cases with risk.
Very interesting, and substantially you are covering all the 3 layers, and it's very interesting also the fact that you are auditing the return of the investment on AI, so that's also interesting. Regarding the vendors and the agreements that we have with vendors, no, the artificial intelligence often come from vendors and mixed architecture. So what kind of third party or contractual clauses do you expect to see so that the audit can obtain the assurance on data, model changes, and compliance?
So when talking about third-party risks, I will look to focus or to highlight in the 3 different aspects. So shadow AI, contractual clauses, and vendor locking. So for shadow AI, that was mentioned in the risk in focus webinars this week and cybersecurity on Monday, also in human capital yesterday. If I look back to my company in 2023, we restricted access to non-approved AI tools such as ChatGPT, DeepL, etc., to minimize shadow AI and to minimize the risk of data filtration. But as my boss usually says, I'm paraphrasing the famous line in the Jurassic Park film, life finds a way. So we need to make sure our business users, our areas, and the users, they have the right tools with the right contractual agreements in order to perform their activities. So regarding AI, our legal services has established standardized contractual clauses for 2 scenarios. So first scenario will be when the service we are contracting is not using AI, but we are explicitly forbidding the vendor to use AI. We are forbidding them to use our data to train any model. And also we are making them to inform us it's at some point of the contract delivery, they plan to activate AI, they need to inform us. So in order for them to comply with the requirements. And the second standard clauses go to services that we are contracting with AI. Obviously, we are including compliance with regulatory requirements AI Act, but including specific clauses as, for example, the risk assessment and testing of the models they are providing, data governance controls for appropriateness of data collection, biases, technical documentation, also ensuring that they communicate us how to do the human oversight of the tools they are providing, things as logs retention, transparency, changes in the model. So we have set up plenty of contract clauses to make sure the third parties are complying with the requirements we have set up. Okay, and additionally, there will be standard clauses. If we have embedded a risk assessment process in the procurement process. So if a use case or a service is deemed as high risk for AI, then we need to produce an expert evaluation report that could lead also, after the assessment, to specific clauses that will be included in the contract. Okay, so finally, and the third topic I want to talk about, and you were mentioning, Daniel, first at the beginning, vendor locking. So just a few tips we are using in the company to reduce vendor locking is we are using different platforms to hyperscalers, Azure, Amazon Web Services, or different data engineering platforms, and we are using diverse models. So closed or proprietary models like ChatGPT, Claude, but also open models like Mistral in order to have flexibility in the future and not having vendor locking.
Perfect. Very, very clear. I'm asking you a big effort now, Daniel, to answer a very difficult question in a very short time.
Okay.
Which is the AI audit requires scarce skills. And how do you decide what to build internally and when to use co-sourcing or external expertise for auditing? Just in very few words.
So I will say AI resources are very scarce. So we need to have a sourcing, talent management strategy. My view will be If it is core and recurring, we need to build internally those capabilities. If not, we can co-source externally. For example, what we are doing, but just quick, is in the short term, we are contracting a co-sourcer, or so we are co-sourcing with an expert to help us preparing the methodology and the revenue use cases. Next year, we are integrating data scientists that we have in internal audit that are building our solutions, helping us to perform the audits we need to do.
So it's a sort of path based on the maturity step. So can I ask Andrea and Rachel to join us again?
Hello
Rachel.
again. That's been a fascinating discussion. Thank you very much, Daniele. There's a final question and you get 1 minute each to answer it. So maybe first to Andrea. Looking ahead, how can internal audit both use AI in its own work and at the same time help the organization adopt AI safely so that assurance, innovation, and compliance can grow together?
Well, let me give you a point of view, of course, related to my activity. So something coming specifically from what we are doing, what we are seeing as auditors applying AI in our engagements, let's say. Then I will leave to Daniel the rest of the answer, let's say, so we say in the minute. In our experience, our role on this topic can be to be a role model, let's say. So for instance, we often apply techniques, we develop analysis that then can be adopted within the control system. So for instance, also this idea of the Gen AI, we later understood that one analysis that we perform could become part of the control system for the first level of control. And so this is something not completely new as a paradigm, because historically we already have had this role of helping the first level and the second level of control to build themselves, to structure themselves. So here we are doing the same. We perform some analysis for the purpose of assurance, but then this can be adopted. So we become, once again, a player within the field. We have a role model, and we are, of course, advisor as well. We are asking them to adopt this kind of analysis. And these, also because a lot of time is the company is thinking about how to apply AI to the business, for instance. But also the control systems can very much leverage this kind of techniques to improve its effectiveness and, of course, the efficiency as well of the process.
Thank you, Andrea. Just very quickly, Daniel.
Yeah, so I think possibilities with Gen AI, agentic AI for internal audit are enormous. I think we are in a very exciting moment in our profession, but we need to have a mindset to transform ourselves and to be brave, to lead by example, especially in terms of responsible AI. But I think that there are synergies between the activities that Andrea was commenting before and the ones that we learn by using the technology, and we can then audit it with deeper learning and deeper understanding. So it's synergic, both activities that we are doing.
That's a fantastic answer. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to close, and I want to give you Daniele's takeaways, his 3 core principles, and thank you very much. Technology is the new epicenter, the risks are interconnected, and people remain paramount. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much to our speakers and facilitator, Daniele. Have a good afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.